Hi everybody, Jandro here from the Co-op Chronicles, and I just want to have a little chat about Destiny. I've had some time to reflect on my experience, and I wanted to share a few thoughts I had as we anxiously await the final release. There are a few things I liked and didn't like in the beta, but I also understand it's only the beta. The final release is sure to have many more elements we've yet to see, so I'm merely musing on a few things I hope get addressed. So here are the few pros and cons, as you will, of Destiny. First, the world to explore. Bungie's done it again for me. It's created a world I wanted to be in, experience, and destroy all at the same time. The beta showed us Earth, and old Russia, and the Moon if you had a chance to jump in, but there's plenty of videos out there, including the hard run you're watching right now, that I completed during the beta, and actually includes the Moon public event that you'll see about midway through, which we'll get to soon too. The environments inside and out created a world rife with untold stories. What's that ship? Is there something down that hole? Go find out! The world encouraged me and players to explore and make their own stories, their own destiny, if you will. I spent more time in the explore mode than any other because I wanted to find everything I could in just the beta. I imagine I'll have tons of little things to find, from gold chests to dead ghosts and everything in between when the game finally releases. Then of course there are the public events. Special boss battles, raids, or other quests you need to complete by yourself or with other people that just may be in the area. I posted a video of the Devil Walker tank that I'll link to in the comments, but I love those moments when the sky darkens and something begins. And because although, in this particular one that I mentioned, you battle the same tank in the strike, but it feels even more badass, or it looks even more badass, when there are 8 Guardians blasting it to hell in under 5 minutes. It was like a challenge in how fast I can do it. It created a sense of grandeur. There's this huge battle waging, and it happens at all times, in all places, and you have to be there to defend it. You also get some sweet loot that can be used to purchase equipment, I'm guessing, in the future, but keep an eye out for those when the game ships. They even appear in the middle of missions. What happened to me on the Moon mission, that again you'll see in just a few minutes here, which I think is great, because I could be in the middle of a mission, but I'm going to go ahead and stop and join up with all these other Guardians to take down this public event. So next, friends are your adventure partners. Your friends will become not just your buddies online, they'll become your adventure partners, the ones you experience this world and the ones you solve its mysteries with. Every time one of my friends would sign in, I immediately wanted to join up. Crucible, explore, didn't care. The game was made infinitely better when you had a buddy right beside you, taking down Fallen after Fallen. My buddy and I spent hours just finding each golden chest we could find, even though we already purchased the speeder you get as a reward. And we knew that there were videos out there documenting where all of those chests were, but we took it upon ourselves to try and find them, because that was half the fun in finding the places they didn't want us to go in the beta. So having friends does make the experience more your own, but Bungie has also done a nice job of populating the world with other Guardians you can join with or completely ignore. In special missions called the Strikes, you can enter with friends or be partnered up with pickup groups or a pug for you non-MMO players to take on mobs, bosses, puzzles, and have a great time collecting tons of loot. I did the Devil's Lair Strike mission, I feel like 20 times, but it was a great place for some PvE gear and some level progression. I found myself leveling the alternate characters this way, and I suggested, I'm sure there's going to be a ton more strikes when the game finally ships, and I think this is going to be a really great place for people to experience that cooperative play that Destiny is bringing to the table. The next thing I really like is that I'm not the sole hero. I'm not the only hero this time around. Maybe it's just me, but I was getting a little tired of playing the charming roguelike character that is forced into a world-saving situation where he or she is the only person that can save the world. It's a little tired. In Destiny, we're all Guardians, the last defense of humanity and Earth. We have to band together against incredible odds to save the future. Sure, we're super badass and can destroy an entire room as quick as you can say fists of havoc, but I'm not the only one who's been tasked with this responsibility. It makes me feel not as bad when I spend hours looking for dead ghosts. There are others out there doing the good fight. I've got some collectibles to find. The next is the PvP. It wouldn't be a Bungie game without some serious PvP action. The Crucible serves that purpose, and any FPS gamer will find themselves right at home. The beta included a few maps, including the Moon, which featured combat vehicles, which most of the community didn't appreciate. More on that later. If you ever played a Halo multiplayer, then it's gonna feel familiar. Same type of jumpiness to the game, lots of arsenal of weapons, but in this time around, the Guardians are unique warriors. The added supers and new arsenals like the fusion rifle add a fresh new layer to the multiplayer. I'm not competitive first-person shooter player, so I enjoyed my time thoroughly actually, and that tells me a lot. But I know others have had some things they'd like to see change. Let's not complain about the supers though. That's how it works. You have one too, use it. I've been down the barrel of plenty of golden guns, but I could rain down bloody hellfire from the air. What I thought was the most interesting, though, and reminiscent of the MMOs that I've used to playing, was the Iron Banner that was open periodically over the beta. Similar to the traditional MMO PvP you're used to, the Iron Banner takes players, stats, armor, and their added benefits and features into account. I find myself doing pretty well in this mode, and I can imagine this is the place to be at the higher levels when you're decked out in legendary gear. Players will also get better rewards from this mode, I found. There are other PvP modes to come when the game ships that we haven't gotten too many glimpses of just yet, but I'm sure interested to see what happens.
You can grab your sparrow now.
So now that we've gone through a couple of pros, these are cons, and I wouldn't really even say they're cons, because again, there's a beta. These are just things that kind of bugged me, or that I'm hoping that they expand upon, or that I know they're going to expand upon, and I look forward to seeing them, but in the beta, it left me wanting more. So first is this class differentiation. And I'll start with this because it's very minimal. In the beta, I know more is coming, and they've already shown us a few in the IGN videos that are coming out that I'll link in the comments where they showed a level 29 Titan and what he's capable of doing, and it had me salivating. So in the first 8 levels of the game, though, I didn't really feel like the classes were all that different. Different supers and melees and grenades and some minor stat changes, but for the most part, I can use any weapon with any character, and such is life. I played as a Titan, and although I was bigger and technically could take more damage, I still had to be cautious with how much damage I was taking, because it's not a traditional tank role. And that might be just my MMO nature taking over, but I want to feel like my role class has some weight to it. Like I have a role that is essential to complete the mission. Now Bungie, like I mentioned, has shown clips of higher level classes, and things do seem to get better later on. I guess I'm just mentioning this because I really want the death from above for my Titan character in the beta. It's only a month out, so it's going to be here pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these classes eventually become. You know, I know the Blade Dancer for the Hunter, things of that nature, so the subclasses are sure to lend some variety to the gameplay. Next was balancing issues. Balancing the game is going to take some work. There have been countless surveys from Bungie and the community that break down people's weapons and class use overall. Players were leaning heavily towards auto rifles, shotguns, and snipers. Classic trio of the competitive FPS? There were some, including myself, that got pretty good with fusion rifles, and it definitely changed the speed of the game. It made me want to learn more about where people were going and understand the routes so that I could charge my fusion rifle at just the right moment and vaporize my enemies. And then there were also the combat vehicles. I won't go too deep here, but that's because most people hated them. Now, I didn't hate them so much as it bore the players that were constantly in that tank thing. I mean, I get it. You can shoot unlimited rockets at people, you're super awesome at this game. Dick. So get out and let me electro punch you in the face. Now, I'm not saying I want to get rid of the vehicles. I'm just saying some balancing is order. Maybe slow down the rate of fire, or maybe not make them spawn as much, make them easier to kill. I don't know what it is. People tell me I can snipe them out of the tank, and I get that, but I don't always use a sniper, and I want to be able at least that I'm able to take the tank down. I usually just ended up running away as quickly as possible. So next, in terms of it being a cooperative game, I really feel like the drop-in, loading, or the joining fire team mechanic is a little broken. I mentioned I really liked joining my friends as soon as they logged in, because it made the game more interesting, and that's what they're pushing on us. You know what didn't make it more interesting? Having to be on Earth, push back out into orbit, then back onto Earth, where we both just were to begin with. I get that maybe there's different servers that we're on, where you need to shift the worlds, but it seems weird that I can't have a quick phase zone server shift, because I feel like I've done that in other games, and I feel like if this really is next-gen technology, that it should be able to do it without kicking me back to orbit. It just made the process too laborious, and I hope that it's somehow streamlined at launch. Maybe the servers will be stronger, or maybe just because of the beta that's how it is. Again, probably going to be fixed. If not, I'll be a little disappointed. Next is the social aspect of the game. And there's 2 parts here I want to talk about. It's first the audio quality, and then the social. Now, for the game with so few, communication options, they really didn't take the time to make their audio chat work. I jumped into a fire team with a buddy before we made a PlayStation party, and I was shocked when I heard an echo when we were inside a cave. I thought, how cool! They actually made it sound like we're in the world. This is fantastic. Like, I'm really excited. I'm going to use fire team chat because it'll be more engaging for me, and I'll feel more immersed in this world. But then the audio cut out again and again and again, or it was super quiet. But the game audio was super loud. It was annoying, and I couldn't bear to use it for more than 30 seconds before we just started our own party. So that's one, and I hope they streamline that. The other have been the complaints that have made of the lack of actual useful gestures and social tools to communicate with other players. We don't have a keyboard, and we get that you're saying it's not an MMO, it's a shared world shooter. Fine. But we still need the ability to communicate with each other. That is absolutely essential when it comes to these types of games. So I want to make sure that they are going to implement some type of advanced communication system. I've seen a couple of mock-ups. The best one I saw was on Reddit that I'll link in the comments as soon as I can find it, where basically you would use the directional pad to choose different categories of communication. So in that way, you would be able to talk with people depending on what the situation is, whether that be in a social avenue or by communicating in a strike mission by saying, flank left, flank right, I need help, I'm down. Just having the ability to actually say and do things that would be useful in an actual environment of the game situations that they're talking about. I want all of that. But please just fix your audio, or else no one's ever going to use their mics, and I think that's where this game needs to get. I mean, just imagine, I know the idea of proximity voice is what people are talking about, but Bungie has said we don't want to ruin your world and your experience because of what other people are saying. And get it, we all get it. We've all been there. We've all heard some horrible stuff when we're online. But at the same time, I really just want to be able to have a really immersive experience that you're talking about. I mean, imagine if there's a group of people in the tower sitting in a corner and they're dancing or they're just sitting. And people, all of us have done that. We go sit and we take a couple pictures and we feel like we're involved. But what if proximity chat voiced that way? What if it worked the way it works in real life? That I could walk up to a group and all of a sudden I could hear them talking. And if I wanted to join the conversation, I could. Now, you still have the opportunity to have your fire team private chat. You can do that. As long as I think the max cap was going to be a 6-person fire team. I hope you can have more, because I'd like to have clan chat sometimes so that everybody in my clan can have voice chat together maybe. Because I think that's a really interesting idea. And the fact is they've already said that in an endgame, you're not going to have public pickup groups or random matchmaking for the endgame raids. I'm kind of scared. I don't have a ton of friends that are going to be playing Destiny when it launches, and I plan to get 20 as fast as possible so I can do these raids. I'll join clans, and hopefully I'll meet some nice people out there. If you're nice, let's play again. But at the same time, I can't get all my friends together at the same time of day for multiple hours at a time sometimes, and I just want to make sure that I'm going to have a chance to enjoy the entire game that they're selling to us. So my last real thing isn't really complaint at all. It's really that the beta's over, and I'm just being a cheeky bastard about it, but I'm sad that it was over. It was one of those games that afterwards, nothing tasted good. No game that I played was really worth my time. Like, I found myself bored with it, and instead rewatching videos and learning as much about this world and this game as possible. The Last of Us Remastered came out, so I'm good for now. I'm good till September, but at the same time, I would have been happy with just the Explore mode in Old Russia. I had so much fun in the beta. I specifically took the first day off of work just so I could jump in and get ahead of my buddies when they signed on later. I made deals with my fiance so I could play without interruptions for hours at a time and really sink into this world. I wanted to know if the hype was real. I wanted to know if the game was going to be the next big thing. If it was going to change the way we think about gaming. Is it? Hell, I don't know. The game hasn't even come out yet. What I do know is that I had a good time playing. A damn good time. And I'm anxiously awaiting the release. If you're on the fence, watch some videos, read some comments. Don't post around on places like Reddit and Twitter asking us to convince you. This is a game with a lot of depth, and you need to dig in and understand if this is a game you're going to want to play. It'll have the jump-in multiplayer, and you can still do all those things, but there's a whole world to explore, and I think there's going to be a lot of good times to be made with friends, old, new, whoever they may be. The world of Destiny is ours to create. And I know there are some people a little jaded, saying that it looks just like Halo or it's just another shooter, and I can believe you there. As a big Halo and Borderlands player, which this reminds me a lot of, I'm really excited for what the prospects of what they're trying to do can bring for gaming. And I mean, this is a franchise they've already said they plan to support for an exceptionally long period of time. And I hope that over the next 10 years, we're all there to help build it. Because as Deej from the Bungie Community Manager has said in a lot of things, they're really trying to create a world that we're all going to make for ourselves, and that we have to go out and explore every nook and cranny so we can understand it. But in the end, it's going to be us. It's going to be our world, the world Destiny that we create for ourselves, and I look forward to making that with all of you. I think the end game is going to be really sweet, and that's where the meat's going to be. And I'm going to roll Titan, and I look forward to smashing some heads with my Electro Fists of Glory. So please like if you enjoyed this vid, give me some of your comments, and hit that subscribe button for more videos, especially when Destiny comes out. So this is Jandro from the Co-op Chronicles saying so long, and I'll see you on the moon.